that we see, they're just round, dome-shaped mounds. A lot of those are burial mounds. And the effigy mounds, not so much, but the conical mounds, which are the most common, are burial mounds.
So they just built soil up, or isn't?
Yeah, they would build soil and pile soil up. And 1,000 years ago, it was probably a lot higher than it is now. I mean, right now, they might only be a foot or two high, but I'm sure 1,000 years ago, they might have been 4 or 5 feet tall. But
They built them to honor?
they did. They built them to honor. I mean, I've seen snake effigies. I've seen mountain lion effigies. I've seen, the buffalo effigies, the falcon effigies. I think there's a few more out there that, but they clearly showed a preference for falcons and buffalo. And it is pretty amazing. I mean, when you walk around one, you almost feel like you're walking on hallowed ground. You really do. And I'm just shocked. I don't want to dwell on this, but how could you dig into one? I mean, even though I'd like to myself, but it just seems like, all right, you dig into a conical one and you find a human skull. And all right, these are burial mounds. But the sad thing about it is they were just like not respected at all. They were plowed up in Minnesota. There were mounds all around Lake Minnetonka on the shore, just almost butting each other around a huge, huge lake. And now that's all mansions, all rich people's houses, and there's no talk of mounds at all. And it's pretty sad. But now, now there are laws. You can't dig into mounds. You can't dig in, and more because of LIDAR are being found, and a lot of people that have, like our friend near Lansing. He'll protect them to all of his mounds. He's got many on his property, so I feel pretty good about that. But I read where, like at the turn of the century, people would go out for a picnic and go dig into a mound as a picnic event. I think it just shocks me because that'd be like going into Phelps Park graveyard here, and just digging. But far be it from me. But that was then. That was America 100-some years ago, and fortunately, we've got enough around to see the wonder of them. And thanks a lot to Clark Malum. His photographs, just. We'll be able to show people for perpetuity.
Sounds like a screenplay for a horror movie, doesn't it?
I suppose, yeah. It's got the makings of something a little bit eerie. Yeah, it does. It truly does. Well, how do we attach the transmitters? The satellite transmitters have a Teflon. They have a Teflon strap that just kind of goes around their back, and then it crosses right here. And so we stitch it right there, and it's held on by the Teflon straps to make sure there's enough giveaway for growing and muscles and things like that.
Similar to a harness?
Not as complicated as a dog harness. It's really just a single strap and a loop kind of that just goes around the wings and it is kind of like a backpack. If you like a backpack, yeah.
The wing being the arms.
Right. And but I know I did pick one up the other day, and I was really surprised at weighing the transmitter. And I think no, they're not Teflon. Yeah, they are Teflon straps. The Teflon straps almost weigh the same as the transmitter. They weigh so little. They'd be like putting one of them on an eagle is like you wearing a watch or a ring. It just doesn't affect your everyday emphasis. Yes.
Where do you have the webcams in Colorado?
We have webcams at Platteville, Colorado, in a bald eagle nest. We've got, in Boulder, we've got a great horned owl cam and a barn owl cam. And then in Brush, Colorado, we have the Kestrel cam.
Do you have any turkey vulture cams other than the one that doesn't work doesn't?
No, we don't have any other turkey vulture cams because we're not aware of good situations. I know where there's some turkey vulture nests, but we have to be pretty close to electricity or an internet source. Although that's changing now too. We're now looking at cellular modems and things like that. So that could give us some freedom to actually get away from the grid, so to speak.
I'm very fascinated about the Philippine beagle, like I am a heartbeat, because I think that's an awesome beagle too. How close are we to being able to do that? What kind of fundraising are we going to be doing? Give us a little more detail on it.
All right, here's what we're hoping for is that we've had a whole bunch, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of cameras and computers and equipment already to the Philippines. And the problem is you can send a $50 part, but it costs $300 to send it there.
Yeah.
The shipping is incredible. We've invested a lot of money in equipment already there, and we blew a power supply, and I think we blew a video card. So I think we'll probably have them buy a power supply there, because that's very expensive to ship, and we'll probably send them, maybe 1 or 2 video cards. And what I'm really hoping this year is that they'll produce a captive bred baby this year, now starting in a few months, and that we'll put the camera on this captive bred baby, showing how it's been fed by a puppet that's meant to look like an adult, Philippine eagle, and we'll let the world watch this baby grow up. And then I'm really hoping that'll generate some enthusiasm. Then the following year, we'll go to a wild nest. And we're already checking out wild nests right now, but we're going to do one more year, under kind of a controlled situation at the Philippine Eagle Foundation. Everything what we're doing is to really help the Philippine Eagle Foundation. Because they're really, really hurting for funding. They really are. And termites are eating the facilities, and they can't sometimes pay their electric bill, and they're doing great stuff to try to save their national bird. Think about this. If we lose the Philippine eagle, this would be the first national bird to be lost. Every country's got a national emblem and has a national bird, and this could be the very first, and there's no reason for it. I think we can develop this wonderful sense of ownership that we all have, And I think if we can develop a sense of ownership for a young, maybe captive bred eagle the next few months, and then the following year go to a wild nest, I think that'll be really great. About the same time, Neil's documentary will be hitting the air. So maybe between our work with bird cams and Neil's wonderful work with his documentary, we might make a difference. No, we will make a difference.
So, follow-ups, what time do they nest during the year, and what channel or whatever is this documentary going to come out?
I can't tell you when the documentary is being put together right now by Cornell University. They funded Neil's and Laura's trip to the Philippines. Neil has to go back there to get some, close-up shots of other species, just to tie it in for the documentary. We're probably looking at a year or 2 away before we have the documentary, and maybe even 2 years. It takes a long time in the cutting room too, and the editing and the music to put a feature film like that together. It's not, and so we're probably looking right at probably 2015 sometime, late 2015 at the earliest. So, and the time factor is that the Philippine eagles start breeding in October, and they usually have their eggs usually by December. So we're months and months and months ahead of the core eagle cam. So it'll give us a start of the year, with a whole different eagle. Yes.
Is the mortality factor for the Philippine eagle, similar to what the core eagle face or any eagle?
All I can tell you about the mortality factor of Philippine eagles is what I hear from the people in the Philippines, and a huge amount of them are shot. Huge. I think 27 of the 30 birds they've released were shot or something. It was staggering, just staggering. So that's why it takes education, and it really does. It's going to take education. It's just, yes, shot. Yes.
Sport?
Maybe for food.
Maybe a question that you can't answer, but if the gnats are so bad, like next year, is there anything that can be done?
I really wish there was. We tried everything we've all put on our cell phone that lasts temporary. If we put, I've heard of everything there is, absorbing junior, vanilla, there's the bug off thing, product with lemon stuff. We're all using everything, and it still only lasts about 20 minutes, and then you have to reapply it. So I don't know how we could do that in a nest. I really don't.
Why were they so bad this year?
Well, they were bad last year too. In fact, if you remember D1, she scratched her head so bad she had that white streak. And now both adults out of the hatchery have got chunks missing underneath the bottom of their chin, where they just actually scratched out their feathers, themselves.
I have 2 questions. The first one is, are you going to lessen the weight, the stress on nest 1, so they can go back to nest 1?
Yeah, you want them on nest 1, right? You know what I think they're going to do is I think they're going to build a nest by the mulch pile. That's what
Should we tour Dedham to see where D20 is being held for rehab?
Well, we have the founder right here of SOAR, isn't she? Kate? Oh. You'll hear in a few minutes. You can ask her that question because she's doing the treatment of that eagle. And she brought a live eagle, one of her education birds. So, I asked her to do it after me because everybody looks at the eagle and they don't listen to us. So I learned, bring the live bird out after we talk. But you'll hear all about it. And it's been a lot of pressure on Kay to keep. She knows how important this bird is to all of you and to a lot of other people on the planet Earth. And fortunately, people have been making donations. She's always struggled with her nonprofit. She's done wonderful things when it comes to lead and research and lead, get the lead out. And she's had some detractors, let's say, and so have we. But it's really good to see the interest that everybody has on this one eagle, and hopefully that'll, hopefully the bird will survive. The problem that we have right now is whether or not it'll grow tail feathers back. That's going to be the big thing, if and when it'll grow the feathers back. And then whether or not the wing is healed correctly enough for it to fly. So a lot of things up in the air. But really, Kay would be the person to ask.
Could they use it as an educational
Uh,
bird then?
Yes, they could. And because there's so much interest in this one bird, I mean, I could see that this bird being an educational bird maybe, in a couple of years after it's got all its feathers and it's in good, it'll probably be a good bird. Yes?
How often do eagles make 3 nests or more?
How often do they make 3 nests or more? Well, I've seen 3 nests in one tree. 3. And we have 1 nest not far from here, just not too far, just right over Highway 52 and pole line, only maybe a mile from here, where there's 2 nests in the same tree. One right above, about 5 feet above the other nest. And I know that I think with the North Folk camp, I think they built 4 or 5 nests. They keep tearing them down there, but because they don't want them near the airport. But, but again, it's been fun. It's been great. It's been exciting. Like I said, I mean, what I learned today too is, I've been really complaining about people always like using the internet and not having any sort of interpersonal communication. And wow, I mean, it's just so cool because that's how you guys all met. It was this social stream, and then you all come together, and it just proves that it's not that negative a thing, and that it does work. So you guys are just living proof of it. Thank you for everything. I appreciate it.